specifically, what did you find out there were areas of strength and areas of weakness?
Well, I mean, like I said, in a scenario this large, we're looking at taking multiple community resources in conjunction with multiple private resources over different jurisdictional boundaries of counties, response areas, etc., and have them all communicate. I think some of the strengths that we saw today was our ability to communicate not only within the emergency response realm, but also within the private sector realm. I think some of the, maybe a negative that we'll have to work on a little bit in the future is some of our resource allocation. And we can ask the Emergency Management Director Noltensmeyer on that also. But I think when it comes to resource allocation, it's looking at do we have a good list of those items where we can get to them and make them readily available quickly.
I know you and the Cushing Fire Department have been out on major incidents at tank farms in years past, lightning strikes or tanks on fire for whatever reason. How did that previous experience help you in preparing for today, and how does it help you prepare for the real deal? I mean, you've been there, done that before.
Yeah, we've been there, done that before, but that's never been as a result of a tornado. So I think this drill is a good learning lesson to us from the aspect of it's not just a fire. It wasn't just a lightning strike and a fire in a tank. This would have been damage to tanks, damage to facilities. This drill will immediately tax all of my resources, all of Bob's resources, all of the police department's resources before we ever get started. So the drill starts, we're taxed, we're immediately going out to the state and the private sector trying to get the help. I think our history within the tank farm is we know how to fight the tank fires. So if you have multiple fires, it makes it a whole lot easier to figure out, do you have the necessary equipment and the means to do it. I also think that our knowledge from our guys allows us to take some of our firefighters, tie them to a large group of outside resource firefighters, and then go ahead and make those tank fires if we need to.
How many of your men were involved, firefighters were involved in the drill today?
In the drill today, we just involved myself and the deputy fire chief, and we took what would be a natural occurrence as far as how many of our guys would be available, and those are the numbers we utilized. We didn't actually physically utilize the people. It's a costly endeavor for us to do that. So we did it in a scenario basis, but per the scenario, we involved every one of our guys.
Were you able to make connections with some of the pipeline companies and all the people involved in the Safety Alliance that will help you in the event of a real emergency?
Yeah, I believe we had the connections prior to the drill today. What it allowed us to do, though, is put everybody from the pipeline and from the emergency services into the same area and have us try to communicate over an emergency situation. And to that, I believe we were successful.
As the emergency management director, you're constantly trying to get people ready for whatever might occur. And as far as I know, in Cushing history, we've never really had a tornado strike on the tank farm, but it's not out of the question since this is Oklahoma. What did you learn as the emergency management director from this exercise today?
Well, I picked up that we are lacking on a lot of resources. If something like this was to happen, it's going to take all the resources that we've got, all of our mutual aid assistance resources and everything, and then state resources, because we don't have enough local to take care of something this massive.
And what additional resources would Cushing area be able to call on? State and federal resources, or?
Oh yeah, thing of it is, in the event of an incident, my first call is to the state. As soon as I get, you might say, a windshield assessment of what's happened, what's going on, I call the state and say, okay, this is what's happened, this is what we need, and give them kind of a first-hand list of what we need in resources. I mean, this is our primary list. This doesn't mean that's all we need, because after we'll go back and do some more assessment and everything, we'll find out how different things that we need. So, I mean, you just try to give them what we need immediately, and then you start adding to the list.
What would you judge the state of readiness among the various pipeline companies that do business in our area to be for an incident like this or some other emergency? There's probably some they're better prepared for than an unknown, like a tornado hit in the tank farm area. But how ready would they be for a tornado to actually strike?
I think they're better prepared today than they were a few days ago. I mean, since we went through this exercise, this drill, I think it's enlightened them on some things that they need to be aware of and look at.
Do they have adequate shelter and safety measures in place for the personnel?
I don't know about the shelters, but they do have adequate safety measures in place. I mean, they all have their own safety precautions that they use at every facility.
Outside of Cushing, the number one concern would be if a tornado did strike the tank farm, is that going to disrupt the flow of the oil in and out of Cushing? I can't imagine that there wouldn't be some disruption, especially if there were significant damage at the tank farms, but how equipped are they to deal with that and to restart the flow?
I don't know how long it takes to restart the flow. It depends upon what extent of the damage it was, what all was damaged, and as far as restarting the flow, I don't know. I mean, that would be up to each individual company as to what their restart time would be.
Along that same line, word of a tornado strike at Cushing would send world oil markets into a tizzy. How capable are the pipeline companies, how capable is your office and the Cushing Fire Department of managing the information that then gets out? Because that's something that oil traders all over the globe are going to be sitting there watching.
I don't know that we can manage that kind of information, because once something, once we have an incident, even like this, that word's going to get out, and I mean, we have no control over that. I mean, it's going to get out. I mean, through either media, Facebook, or whatever, it's going to get out.
Okay. What was the number one thing that you picked up today that you're going to immediately go to work and get fixed?
Well, I just need to update my resource list and expand it more than what it is already.
In terms of the state resources and federal resources that might be brought to bear on an emergency like this? Or?
State and local. State and local. I just need to make sure that my resource list is updated and expanded enough that we can handle something, similar to this. Or there were some questions brought up today about some things that need to get some answers to it, or we need to look into some things to answer some questions on this.
Okay.